Hello friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. Welcome to Make and Take Tuesday. This is a little weekly series that I do here on my YouTube channel where I share a new product, design, tool, die, technique, and we make something beautiful together. All this year in 2023, we've been working with Graphic 45's Flower Market collection, and we've been making a monthly folio. And we are up to November. It is time for us to make our November folio. So I just thought I'd go over very quickly the supplies that we're going to use to make this folio. You need your 8x8. You need both the floral and the cut apart sheet. And you need your 12x12. Again, the floral and the cut apart sheet. And then to make our folio base, I'm going to use Spellbinder's Fern and this color called Tomato Soup. It's an orangey red, and these look great with this paper collection. It takes us into fall. I also dug into my Authentique papers. These were their Spectrum papers, and this mustard seed is a perfect shade of yellow. Then from your journal cards, you're going to need both of these little 3x4 journal cards and this little chipboard frame tag. Then, because we never have enough paper to make a complete folio, we always dig into our stash of older papers to look for a playmate. And this time I went to Simple Stories Vintage Country Harvest, and these are gorgeous with this paper collection. Let me just put this stuff aside and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I was very excited because I really wanted to bring more of a fall feel into these papers, but as you can see, the shade of orange in these pumpkins is a great match for the shade of orange in the mums in this paper. Really, really beautiful. And then on the back, there's this great check that looks fabulous with both the floral and the cut aparts. So I have this sheet, I have the journaling cards, which will add some interest. Also, this diagonal plaid is beautiful. This sheet of leaves and butterflies looks great with both. And then on the back of this, there's a dot, a really good rust dot. And I love how these papers add that touch of fall to this collection. So I think this folio is going to be really, really beautiful. Here's a piece that I've already used on another project, but look how great that green pumpkin is. So we're going to have fun with this one. This one's going to be really pretty. I'm going to stay away from these teals. I don't like them as much, but this side is beautiful with it. And then I've just got some scraps, some images, things like that, and then a sticker sheet. So we're going to go ahead, get started building our folio and get this made. I'll be right back. So I think I'm going to use my Tomato Soup Cardstock for my base, and you're going to need two 11 by 8.5, or actually 8.5 by 11 inch pieces, and then you're going to need two 8.5 by 8.25 inch pieces for the side flaps. So very quickly, if you've done this before, skip ahead. Run your 1/4 inch Scor-Tape along the 8.5 inch edge of one of your 11 by 8.5. Overlap the other panel using that inside line on the Scor-Tape as a guide to help you keep everything nice and straight. And then just press that into place. Okay. Now we're going to bring in this big long piece of paper, and we're going to score this at 4. And then we're going to score it at 4 3/8. And I have to shift mine in order to do that because I don't have 8th inch marks. Then we're going to fold on that 4 3/8 inch. And we're going to go 8.5 And we're going to go, and again, I have to shift 8 7/8. So now we're going to fold on all our scored lines. And what we have is a front flap and an inside pocket area. All right, so there's the top and bottom of our folio. Then we're going to bring in our 8.5 by 8.25 inch pieces, and you're going to score each of these at 1/2 inch and at 7/8 of an inch. So remove your, put your 1/4 inch score tape, just like we did before. Open your folio up. I'm going to fold this piece back. I'm going to center it, and I'm turning this sideways so I can see what I'm doing, so that I have about the same space here as I do it up here. Looks good. Then I'm just going to fold this flap over. Okay? And now I can fold this 3/8 inch flap, and now we've got a left-hand flap. And I'm going to do that same thing over here on the right. Just fold this, line it up so that you're even top and bottom. And fold this flap over. All right, so there you go. Right hand flap. Oops, let me fold this on this score line. There we go. See? So now we have inside pocket, left hand flap, right hand flap, top flap. And there's our little box folio. Okay? Since this is our 11th folio that we put together, I'm going to streamline this tutorial. You can always go back to the previous, since the base is built the same way, and you can review there. But I'm just going to quickly go over the liners. On the inside, the top flap, this is an 8 3/8 inch square of the Fern Cardstock with a 12 inch by 8 1/8 inch piece of this authentic mustard seed. And as you can see, I've set magnets on the flap this time. I think I'm going to like that better. Then on this right hand flap, we have a 7 3/8 inch by 8 inch square of the green. Same here, 7 3/8 by 8 inch. And again, I've set my magnets here and here. And you can review how to do that in the previous videos as well. Then this is a 12 by 7 3/8 inch. I just scored it. All right, at 7 3/8. And this is 8 inches high. So 12 by 8, score at 7 3/8 inch. And this is where the right hand magnet goes. Then we open up to the left hand flap, and we have again a 12 by 8 inch scored at 7 3/8 inches. All right, and then I cut an 8 3/8 inch square of our fern, and I trimmed 3 7/8 inches for the bottom, and then I used the top here to line our pocket. Now we're going to put our pocket gussets in. And I've cut 2 1 inch by 3 3/4 inch pieces of the fern. I scored it in half at 1/2. And these go on the sides of our pocket, and this gives us the full pocket width. The folded edge of the gusset goes against the cut edge of the paper. So there we go. There is the interior. Then put adhesive here, and fold this up. And then I did the same thing this time where on the bottom, I scored in between the 3/8 inch score lines and just pleated it. I just pinched it in. And you can watch that in the October Folio. All right, so now we're ready to rock and roll. Now we're going to go to work on the cover art. So you want an 8 3/8 inch square of the mustard seed and an 8 1/8 inch square of the fern. And then you're going to take your 8 by 8 sheet of the floral and you're going to cut it into a 4" by 8" panel. And you're going to trim that into 4 1" by 8" panels. And I'm going to show you how to do a mitered corner. And again, for those of you that have done this lots of times and you feel like you don't need the practice, you can just skip this section. I take the two pieces and you overlap them like this so that they are completely perpendicular. Your corners are lined up, right? Then you start at this inside corner and make a straight cut to the outside corner. And now these corners will meet. I'll show you that again. You're going to take your papers and overlap them. You want them to be perpendicular. You don't want there to be like an overhang. If they're not quite straight, you're not going to come out with a good corner. And cut from the inside to the outside. So now that you've got your 4 pieces, I'm going to start at the top with mine. And if you don't want to do mitered corners, just go ahead and overlap. It will be fine and the world will not come to an end. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right down the middle because I intend to stitch around my border. And you want to make sure that you have the same distance from this point to here as you do on this point to here. And that looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to glue these down. So see, you've got this beautiful frame. And then I went into my 12 by 12 and I cut out this chrysanthemum image, and this is going to be centered this way. Then I took a little piece of my border. This is about 6 inches long, and I'm going to glue this behind here. And then I'm going to take this little piece, which is about 4 1/4 inches long, and I'm going to do it this way. Okay. So now we have this. All right. Then I've matted my 8 by 8 November calendar on both the tomato soup and the mustard seed. This will sit back behind here like this. This word loyalty goes right up here in the corner. We don't want to cover up our chrysanthemum, so it's going to go above that. The word longevity is going to go right along here. We have our number 11, which goes right here, and our flower market that goes here. So I'm going to go stitch around this and then we'll assemble it so you can see it finished. So as you can see, I've got my cover all assembled. I've matted and stitched around these images. I've added our different elements from the 8 by 8 and the 12 by 12, and then hit it all with some sequins. The only thing different in the process this time is that I switched the position of this medallion with these circles because this word chrysanthemum is really long, and when I put it up here, it covered up part of the C. So we just kind of moved things around a little bit, and I took the chipboard frame and put it around the word November, and I really like how that looks. That's better to me than the other thing that I was going to do. All right, friends, let's go to work on this top flap. And I'm going to start on the inside first, where I have this 7 3/4 inch square of my Country Harvest paper from Simple Stories. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. All right. So pretty. This color palette really reads fall. And then over on our little flap, I have cut a 3 3/4 by 7 3/4 inch piece. Also from the Simple Stories. And I want to take this doily, this is an Annette green doily that I cut in half. Let's see if I can still lift this. Yep. And I'm going to put it back behind my paper and then flip this way. I'm going to take this piece of the same doily and line it up. Make sure that's, yep, that looks really good. And then I've got another 3 3/4 by 7 3/4 inch piece cut from this same panel, and this is going to go like this. Okay. And then I'm going to take this title sticker and put it right there. It says autumn is in the air. And then on this side, I'm going to take this piece that says leaves and put it right there. And I'm going to leave this for photo or journaling, but over here, I want to bring in our little file folder, and we're going to turn this into a pocket. So I've taken this border piece from the branding strip of my Country Harvest, and I'm just going to wrap this around our file folder. And glue this down right here. Then in the pocket, I cut a 4 by 5.5 inch piece of this same paper, but this is going to go in here like a photo mat. And then I've got a little journal card that's going to go in there. So that's a nice little combo. And then to dress this up, let's take one of our little frames. That's real pretty. Let's put it up here. And you can also put more photos in that pocket too. And let's glue our November stamp back behind it. See if I can still lift this. Sure I can. There we go. It's really cool how well these two collections play together. I like that. That's pretty. All right. And I don't know that we need to really do a whole lot else right here. We could maybe take some of these little fall leaves. These are from the ephemera pack. And glue these down like this. Looks pretty good to me, guys. So I think that's going to do it for our flap page this time. Gorgeous. All right, guys, now we're going to go to work on this right-hand flap. This is our pocket and folio. So I have a 4-inch by 7 3/4 inch. This is left over from cutting the border on our cover. And we're going to glue this down on the right-hand side of the page. And then I cut a 4 1/4 by 7 3/4 inch piece of this polka dot pattern. This is the back side of the leaf pattern that we used on the top. And then I added gussets, and we're going to turn this into a little pocket. This is so pretty together. And this helps tie the top elements in with this. And this rust shade just looks gorgeous with the green, with this floral. All right. And then to go in the pocket, I've cut a 6 by 12 inch piece of our mustard seed, scored it in half at 6. I've added 5 7/8 photo mats inside, and then I matted a 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 inch piece of this, I don't know what you would call that, sort of like an anthology paper on a slightly larger piece of faded brick. And this is going to go in the pocket. I cut little 2 inch by 2.5 inch scraps of our polka dot. Again, just trying to tie everything together. And these are going to go one here. And you could have used the leaf if you wanted to. I just thought, when you'll see when we put the other piece down, I thought this looked better. But that's a judgment call sort of thing, and that's where you can take this design and completely make it your own. Then I matted our chrysanthemums on the same faded brick. And this is going to go right here. In the center, and then this is going to tuck into the pocket. On the pocket flap, I'm going to take a couple of these postage stamp frames and glue them down like this. Actually, I decided to do my other framed postage stamp down here. And you can add little stickers or whatever you want to the inside of the folio, but I like to leave that part open for a couple of really big pictures or journaling or appointments, however you want to do that. Now on the side, I die cut these. These are from Annette Green's Elizabeth Craft design. These are the lacy borders. I'm going to put that yellow one there, then open this out. Oops, I think that came off. I want these to go back to back. I really love the detail that adds. I think that's really fun. So there's a little idea you can use if you like. One last thing, I'm going to take this little ephemera butterfly and use it to kind of connect these two pieces. So that is the perfect finishing touch right there. All right, so for this left-hand flap page, I cut from the Simple Stories a 7 1/8 by 7 3/4 inch piece of this very muted pumpkin pattern. Then I put our 3x4 card here. our little pocket and tag here with this small tag from the 8x8 there. This is the other postage stamp frame with a little pumpkin sticker. And I want to show you how to do this little butterfly. Here's the base that I cut out of the mustard seed. And then there are the two wing halves. So just put a little dot of glue on either side of the body and then layer this over. Like this. So that's very sweet. Then this is the large chrysanthemum image from the 12x12. And I've trimmed this out. I left this little, I don't know, it's like a hinge or something there, and cut a little extra wide and scored 1/4 of an inch and then turned it into a flap page. Put down this was just a scrap. This is like 4.5 by 5 of that faded brick. This is a little pumpkin ephemera that I left open so the picture can slip behind it, and a little leaf ephemera, same thing. So that's a pretty little layout, and that will go down right here. So I'll take the tape off and then glue this down, and then this page will be done. And this is opposite the the magnet page. All right. All right, friends, I'm going to try to finish this guy up here. It's big, so it's hard to move around. Over here, we did our left-hand flap page. All right, and I found a little journaling image that could stick in the pocket too, so that was cute. Flip this open and we have our left-hand flap page. And I cut a 4.5 by 7¾ inch piece of this pumpkin pattern. And then I took my die cut frame that goes around the Graphic 45 clock, and I matted it over this 3x4 and just glued this at the bottom. And that's all I'm going to do there. I don't think we need to do anything else. Then this flips open, and I have another 4.5 by 7¾ inch piece, only I was short. Make sure I'm in frame here. So I added this border along the top to fill in the gap. This wasn't 7¾ it was more like 7.5, but getting to the bottom of my papers, so I had to be conservative. And what we can do over here is add, well, I thought about leaving it blank actually, because it's always nice to have room for photos and journaling. So what we can do to finish it off is take this little leaf ephemera and this little postage stamp and put those down. And that kind of brings together the two collections. So I'm just going to put this down here, and that still leaves you room for a nice photo or a lot of journaling. And then, let's see, maybe like this. Okay, so that's that page. And I might come back and add some words or something. And then over here, this is, move this out of the way. This is a 7 1/8 by 7 3/4 inch pattern of this botanical paper. And here's our little policy envelope. I took a little scrap, made a belly band, trimmed out one of the large stamps from the 12x12 and put it there. Now this flips, and I just glued, the way I did that was I just glued this bottom flap down. Then this opens up, and there's a whole bunch of really fun little ephemera bits in here that you can journal on, just put a simple little word on, tell a little story. So that's kind of fun. And then this just goes like this. Then I found this 4x6, which is so beautiful and is repeated throughout. So I thought this is a good way to, you know, repetition is a really good thing to add to your designs. So I matted this on a piece of cardstock, left a little flap at the top and scored along the flap. And now this is going to go right here. So now this will lift up. You've got room to add a photo here, and you can actually put a photo here. So that's kind of fun. And I'm just going to leave this spot here blank unless I find something really good to put in there. So that finishes this. Now let's come to the center. And I lined the top of the pocket with a, I want to say this was 8 3/8, 8 1/8 by 4 1/4 inch piece of our graphic 45 paper. And then I added a little mat, a little gold mat to the bottom because I wanted this to, I didn't have a piece big enough. That's what happened. So then my patterned paper is 8 1/8 by 3 3/8. This is the inside circle of the graphic 45 clock and frame die. And I liked how it looked on here, and I just created a little collage. I want to add these fall leaves. Just kind of tuck them in like this. And this dresses this page up really nicely. And we can actually even take our word of the month, which is longevity, and put it up here on the pocket. And I have one more little butterfly that we can put down here. Kind of pulls all those colors together. And then I have somewhere I have the other one of these little wings. Yeah, there it is. So I'm just going to put these down like this. Okay, so that finishes that. Then in the pocket, there's our bookmark. I just made this up with scraps. The tomato soup is 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then the faded brick is 2 3/8 by 5 1/8. And then our patterned paper is 2 1/4. And I had to use 2 pieces. Do you see how I pieced this together? So I'm just working with scraps here and then put this stamp in between. So there's that. That goes in our pocket. Then I matted this little journal card and used one of the die cut labels there so you can put a photo on the back. Here's our little monthly tag that goes in here. Here's our 3x4 that goes in here. And then I took our calendar and matted it on a just over 5 1/4 by 8 1/2. Scored it at 3 1/2. Put this little scrap, this is 5 1/8 by 4 3/4 of our designer paper. And then this also goes in the pocket. So our pocket's got lots of good stuff in it this month. All right, so that takes care of that. Now we come over here. Whoops, this is so big, it's hard to move around. Here's our, remember we did our right-hand flap with our 6x6 folio in there, a little frame. We framed a stamp. So now we need to do the back side of that. I took this 4x6 image and just glued it down on the flap with this pretty orange check. Then this opens out. And what I want to do here, this is really fun. I took our clock, looking for my glue. All right, I hope I'm in frame. This is a big folio. I took our clock and I matted it on one of Annette's small doilies right there, just like that. And then here's another doily that's going to go down in this corner. And these are cut out of that Simple Stories collection. This is going to go right here. I've got this cute pumpkin time crate. And then pumpkin everything, because that seems to be how it goes this time of year. And then in between those two, this is beautiful. Let's take these wildflowers as a connector between the two images. And let's take the word cool, crisp fall days. So that finishes this. This is just a look page. All right, we're almost done. I thought we would make a little waterfall. So I wanted to start with, I trimmed these 4x4s down to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then did 4 by 4.5. The header, the branding strip is on the back of these. So we're going to put this down. And pardon my head if it gets in your way. I just want to make sure I'm straight here. This is just some washi tape I had in my stash, but the colors matched well. So I'm going to lay that over that branding strip, and it becomes a design element. Then I'm going to take Pumpkin Time and put it right at the bottom of the first one. And then do the same thing with the washi tape. And I actually like torn edges on washi tape. I like them kind of raggedy. I think it looks neat. And then I'm going to come in with a third little waterfall. And glue it down right here. And again, washi tape. So now we've got a little 3-piece waterfall that I think looks really cute in there. There we go. And I put the little butterfly turn tabs on there. Let me find one for the top one. Let's see. So how I did that was I just put glue on the antennas and then did like this. So that's really fun. I like that a lot. So what we have to do now, friends, is add our cover. Put my adhesive down. I think it's fun to see how each month in this series, even though they all are very similar, how you can change up the entire look by using different colored cardstock and pairing it with another paper collection. So this looks exactly like the colors you would find in a pumpkin stack on your front porch. Those beautiful new pumpkins that they do that are all variegated, they're so pretty. I love those. And here we go. I've added my sequins to the front and we are finished. Only one left to go, my friends. I will put a link to my blog. There will be a photo array. And at the end of this video, I'll put a link to my blog where you will find a linked supply list to make it easy for you to find supplies. And I will also put in the description box below a link to the previous month so that you can that's a little bit more detailed tutorial. I have company coming in tomorrow, so I'm on a time crunch here, and I had to streamline things a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed. Can't believe we're doing November, but that's it for me, Kathy Clement, Kathy by Design, Make and Take Tuesday. Go get your craft on. Bye.